Chris, good to see you. We're Thanks for joining. This is our week 6 check-in call on the project. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well.
Fantastic. So I did get yesterday afternoon. I got your email about needing to, provide a status update on like where we're at, how much we have to go on the implementation stage here. I don't know if you saw my email from this morning. Last night, burned in a little bit of the midnight oil, honestly, but put together a slide deck kind of covering everything from, I wasn't sure, who all you needed to send the update to, but so I kind of started from uh, the kind of problem we defined, the high level stuff from the sales deck that you and the team had seen from and then kind of laid out the project plan, the onboarding findings, and then status updates, and then like the items that still need to be done, and then some of the like follow up future recommendations, scope two. Again, I know it's like we're approaching quarter end, so I thought it might be if this was like for the board or for the leadership team or whatever. So there's like 5 major sections, and when you look at it, you'll see that they each have a like section divider. But slide 15, the first section, 1 through 14 is the like sales. Slide 15 is the onboarding findings, and then slides like 19 through 27 are status update from here, and then 27 to 35 are what remains on the plan, and then 35 through the 36 through the end of the deck is the like future state items that we could come back to like once we've achieved that. So those are kind of divvied up by stakeholder, where
Wow,
I
you,
think
you
would be
put
the
all this
most
together?
important.
You put all this
Uh,
together just last night?
yeah, like wanted to be responsive, make sure that you have everything you need for communicating internally. I know there's a lot of people who kind of have the project on their radar that aren't involved week to week, and they might have a lot of questions.
Okay,
So
okay. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. There's a lot here. Um, but yeah, this is essentially, what I was looking for. So
great.
I'll go ahead. I don't know if it makes sense to run through it on this call. It seems like a lot, but I need to understand what's in it and then maybe divvy up some slides or figure out, how to share this, with the rest of the team. Cause I know, like sales for one, they're not going through a 70 slide deck, that's for sure. But I can,
Sure. Yeah.
I can work on taking it to the next stage.
Yeah. Great. I just want to make sure that whatever you needed to kind of set the stage and tell the story of where we're at for that status update, you would kind of have everything in one place that you could pull whatever you might need out, to make sure that anybody um, could have a complete picture.
And I greatly appreciate this responsibility you are handing to me right now, sir.
All right.
Oh man. Like, first of all, a couple of things I want to point out. Like, uh, my character sent to you, hey, I need some stuff. And like the the common approach is like, oh, let me create that stuff. Like,
Yes.
not ask who it's for, why do you need it? Right. So you're in a position, well, let me cover all the bases. And I can now very quickly, thanks to AI. So I can generate all this context and all this curation and some really cool looking stuff that's 50 to 100 pages long, whether it's in slides or guides or even new websites, right? And either way, you're putting me in the situation where I've got to decide how to curate it in a way that's like, all right, sales, here's your link. IT, here's your link. Services, here's your link. It needs to be that easy for me. I can't do that. So in my mind, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to take some time to, if I'm lucky, curate the information in a way that I can share asynchronously. Most of the time, I need to go over this information live
Yes.
with the next person. So now I got to worry about scheduling time with them. And just all of these places are where it's nobody is set up
Yeah, and
successfully.
the failure too, like I mean, even that in that scene, the request was sent end of day before a morning scheduled check-in, right? What both parties have set themselves up for failure there too, right? The the hey, I need some materials for a status update for internal stakeholders request is not enough information for the account manager to uh, pull the right stuff together on that timeline, because you don't want to, no account manager is going to feel great about getting that request at the end of the day and in the meeting saying like, yeah, I got your request for a status update. When do you need that by? Right? Like the implication there is, of course, that like the meeting should hopefully be when you can say, do you have everything you need now? That doesn't mean that that solution was the right approach, but both parties are acting at a disadvantage because at the end of the day request, you can't necessarily rely on like, hey, just like recap, who is this for? Like, what's most important? That's not an email conversation, also, right? Um, so like everybody there is in a bad way. But I would say the service provider or the account manager, uh, uh, that was a suboptimal response. But also, we're talking about the adopter stage of the value path. The updates that stakeholders need internally should not be surprises or unknowns at that stage of the relationship between the two companies and between the account manager and the internal contact, right?
Right. Yeah. And if you like, if you can tell that the need is coming from a place of, I'm not sure what's going on from any other stakeholder, like the worst thing you can do is just answer that question directly with a bunch of context. And that's like reports are often very similar. I mean, they're
Yes.
exactly like this. Like, this is why most reporting doesn't work, in my opinion. But this just happened to us yesterday, I'm realizing right now. And if I can describe how we approached it and why understanding these stages is so important and you can turn around this quickly now. Like, AI gives you the ability to turn these things around very quickly if you understand which levers to pull, when, how to talk about different stakeholders, understanding different stakeholders. So yesterday we have our second, um, a little bit different stage in the journey, uh, value creator stage, because we're in our second, scoping session. Um, but understanding that like adopter is on the horizon, if we don't ever get there, like the job is not done and there's not going to be any satisfaction. And whatever we've agreed to already, scope wise, is, I should put the quotes around scope and not agreed, but um, is it's only good if they reach adopter stage, right? And so the first session was all about, you know, strategic frameworks like, like unified customer view, stuff like that, just to get everybody aligned on business goals. So the second session is going to be more process focused. What do we actually want to do? in HubSpot? What do stages need to look like? Tell us about your process. And this was the one where sales comes in, and like there's going to be multi stakeholders, like we're talking about on the call. The call is scheduled at 2:30 p.m. They have their own internal discussion, right? This is, we're going to come back to this throughout this episode. They have their own internal discussion about what they want to happen on the call with us. And that includes a 90-minute session where now they know they can just share the transcript and video with us. And that will be context that we could use, should we choose to do so, to prepare for the meeting that's in 5 hours. 90-minute call, right? They send us that information a couple hours before the call. And Ryan and I happen to be sitting on our daily, and we get it and we start processing it right away, right? Because if it's context that adds value and can help us curate the context and conversation of the next call, we should jump all over it.
Yeah.
Because whether they expect it or not, this is where there's some subconscious AI expectations happening here, where it was easy for me to put this huge bunch of context together. Surely you say you're AI enabled, so that means it's easy for you to do it, right? And what we're trying to help with here is, so we're live on a call with AI, with our AI system in place. We're saying, all right, we already did this prep. We know we have transcripts. We know the players. We know this is sales. We know this is marketing. We know how they talked on the last call. We know which words they use. We know what things to avoid. We know, don't go too deep in the framework, because sales said explicitly that they did not enjoy that moment in our last call. So we processed the 90-minute transcript through all of these lenses, and it completely changed our agenda. But it was not update whatever we already had going and make more context. It's like, all right, we got what you guys said, so like here's our presentation to you. It is, how do we adjust our messaging? And we created, for ourselves, we updated some assets. We made a quick 1-pager agenda that we could follow. We made these different things to prepare for agility on the call that's not going to get in the way of adoption, right? At all costs here. And one of the most impactful things on the call, per usual, is the salesperson, let me share my screen and show you guys what I don't like, right? Like, so can we create the space for that and then serve it when it happens?
Yeah.
Right? Because before our conversation, you're talking about, vision of value and trying to connect these things, right? In that moment, she told us exactly what her vision of value was for a contact record, right? It's like, I want to see this. Right now, I had to do this and this and this. I can't keep track of this. We've got these things associated. We've got these deal stages that don't make any sense. Help.
Yeah.
Right? She didn't say that last word, but
No,
that's what's happening
implied.
there.
Yeah, for
Right?
sure. Yeah.
And if you haven't done, so let's say in the old world, it would have been, and probably this, we could have used that, the time as a reason for like, we're going to process that later, right? They don't, if they know what AI can do, like they all want to, everybody wants to be the only person that you're focused on at any given time. So they don't necessarily enjoy that. And they might say, okay, but it's another notch of like, okay, this relationship might not be what I thought it would be.
Right.
Or, okay, I need to slow down on my side because any additional context I give you can't handle it yet. There's all these things that, like, when you put up these barriers or roadblocks to slow down, and the buyer expectations on the other side are like, why are we slowing down? I thought we were going fast. Like, all of that gets in the way of the next step. And maybe now when we ask sales to be a part of another call, now we're like third priority on the list,
Right.
right? And so I know I always give you way too much to respond to. But
No, I mean that's like uh, uh, that hits on everything, right? Like the adopter stage, and again, you're describing a client who's in the value creator stage. That we name those different stages, but all stages, are made up. They can blend, and different stakeholders in a single company can be at different points in that value path as well. But what you're describing there is there's there's two facets to serving both, or two like organizing principles maybe for the things that you do in these stages, and they're true of both value creator and adopter. We can talk about other stages another time, but the 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 foundational one is knowing what works for similar customers or clients to the customer that you're working with, right? Like hopefully you have a playbook of, here are the common problems that we see across all of our customers. For each of those, here's the suite of like potential diagnostics, solutions, etc. Right? If a customer has problem A, we know that we're going to use some tools from this tool set, right? If a customer has problem T, then we know here's a separate set of tool sets that we use for those. And you have hopefully accumulated expertise and pattern matching capabilities, right? So that like if a customer came in and reached value creator or adopter and you had no background on them, you would at least have a playbook of like known, likely, valid approaches and solutions. The other angle is what you described there, which is you need to be accruing the specifics over time in this customer relationship to action in each of those stages, right? So the pain points that you heard in sales are not just things to book the next call or to get permission to send a quote or to qualify them with BANT. It is making a future to-do list for yourself, for your company to solve for this customer when they're no later than when they start to enter value creator. If you can provide value by starting to help solve those problems before that point, even better. So like hearing like, hey, we're signed on, we're going through this, but that internal meeting, almost certainly there was some internal case making, politicking, get on board. I know that you disagree, but we're doing this with your permission, sort of, but not, sort of not happening there, right? And getting those specifics that can override your default playbook where appropriate is how you bring people through these stages, right? In adopter, the goal is like they are starting to achieve that value themselves without you directly holding their hands, is a good general way to think about it. The getting them through to the next stage is when that kind of light bulb moment has happened and they're like, oh, I now see the path to the goal, right? Or we're almost there, depending on how long that path to goal is. In Who First, we call this the vision and value, their understanding of what they wanted to achieve at the very beginning of their journey, right? Like sales knows that in your case, the CRM is a pain, right? And they're like, it takes 9 clicks to get to this data that I have to review or enter or report on or whatever. And can that be fewer clicks? Can that be automatic? That's something that, their vision of value is
if I even know where to find it.
Right. If I even know where to find it, or that it's there, or that like I remember when it's like, oh, we're doing forecasting. Oh, crap. You know what? I forgot to enter next steps for all of these, right? Or whatever. Um, that their vision of value is like, I need to be spending less time doing admin, right? Like, I feel overwhelmed and frustrated and irritated when this thing that is not core to achieving my goals is being harped on, right? And justifiably so. Like, what's the point of being able to forecast if you have no data to forecast? Um, Accruing those things, being able to get that meeting transcript, analyze it, looking for these things, and saying, like, okay, we now have, you know, 12 specific complaints by stakeholder that can go on the roadmap, and we can figure out, you know, uh, how big a problem they are to solve, where they fit in the timeline, and how we help them achieve these vision and value. That's how you build the plan that you fill out in adopter stage, right? And you have given yourself a list of like, look, they told us exactly what would make them happy, and instead of what our default playbook, we had a pre-populated guess, but now we know how to pick which tool and order those pain points or objectives or whatever, and prioritize them. So, you know, we had our best shot going in, and now we have heard these specifics, and so we have reformulated our plan, right, um, to respond to that input.
So what kind of tools? It's hard, so hard for me not to dive deeper into like framework and theory.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I
I
mean,
want to give you an opportunity to
sure.
talk through
I
tools.
mean, a lot. So a lot of the tools are um, account manager or interpersonal or like problem solving tools. These are,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
we can talk about how to use AI or other tooling to do it, but the when you are working that list in the adopter stage, the um, uh, one of my favorite phrases. Any clients watching this will know this, and also other service providers I've have advised, though out there, will know this. And then what happens is one of the best things that you can ask customers. So, like, let's put ourselves in a scenario where you described a sales leader sharing their screen and saying, "Look what I have to do when I have to update X property," which probably involves like going into the like show all properties view and sort and search if they know how to do that. Otherwise, boy, that I can't imagine how painful that would be to go find
Bunch
something
of
that isn't
cards.
immediately
But
surfaced. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
bunch of property cards on a CRM record. One
right.
of these are, I know one of these are updated. Let
Right.
me find that real quick.
Yeah. Um, the As they say, like, I have to update this property, and so I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm trying to find whatever, and then I do this once a month, so I have to remember, and then I just hired somebody, so I have to train them, and I don't remember, and are they going to remember? Um, Nobody's goal is updating a CRM property, right? If we might think that because we touch and come from the like RevOps or AI ops era, practice, where it's like our job is not to do the marketing or do the sales or do the service, but is to make sure that the systems run for the teams that do that. So we view it as like, yeah, we want these properties updated, and here's our coverage goal for the data, whatever. Um, so we often forget that they are updating that property in order to accomplish something else. So uh, when they say like I have to do this and then I have to do that, say like okay, and then what happens, right? And they will, if you just keep asking that, you will eventually have built a process map, right? With if you recorded your meeting with that conversation, you can turn that into a diagram and update your and their documentation. But that is how you uncover these adjacencies, right? Like some of those fields that need to get updated or reports that need to get run or whatever. If you are coming in and making progress on these problems with clients, a lot of those things you will find, I find, you can just make go away, right? Like, oh, I need this, I need a report with this data in it. Okay, interesting. Why? How often do you look at that? Oh, well, I download it every week. Oh, you download the report data every week. And then what happens? Oh, I dump it into an Excel spreadsheet and then I have to clean it up and stuff. And then I change, these values to that for my weekly reports. Okay. And then what happens? Oh, I copy and paste the graph into a PowerPoint. Okay. And then what happens? Oh, I email that PowerPoint to the director. Okay. And then what happens? Oh, they ask questions about the performance. Okay. So, we've got like 9 major steps in that process there that are really like busy work. Maybe we don't have to solve it right now. We'll get you the report. But can we start with like maybe you have to massage the data in Excel before you can even update the other properties, and then you build a report. Can I help you just like streamline that a little bit? Like maybe we get the right data better formatted, or like I could help you with the Excel pivot table or something. Oh yeah, that'd be great, right? And then you can start to walk back up the ladder in this adopter stage of like, I need the systems to work better for me, into how many of those steps can we actually remove? And if we just actually need that data in a deck, is there a faster way to do that? Or is even, go to the director. Like, is that deck a hack because you just need a way to get reports around? We could talk about something like data box, or like what is actually going on here? Where does that deck end up? And then what happens, right, is the tool to figure out like, can we collapse those steps, take out the busy work between the actual things that we are trying to accomplish. The only thing better than object record that's easy to navigate to in the CRM is one that you don't have to navigate to, because you've made the problem not dependent on a human being.
Yeah, it feels like most of what I want to talk about like starts at, especially now, like all of the tools like to enable adoption, like enable them, right? In a way that we're like, you know, consultants and builders and architects and account managers are the ones supposed to be doing some of that stuff that we're enabling them to do, right? And um I mean, the two things that come to mind and why I can't avoid like framework here is the two of the beliefs: empowerment over learned helplessness, right? um if you have created a relationship where they need to depend on you, right, for anything, because that's how you get paid, that's how they like you charge for hours, and a lot of people still expect that on the other side too, which like, so they're not going to ask you for the level of adoption help that they need, or always be open with what they need, what they really need, because they think it's going to cost hours or whatever.
Right.
Um, but also belief number 5, emergence over predictability. Like the next call, we would love, I mean, I don't love it, but it's planned for that to be predictable, right? So that we can have the right words for the right moment. But like when we're deciding the predictability and there's nothing on the client side or the other human side that is going to give us that predictability. Like like we were lucky yesterday that the client told us they had the 90-minute call
Right.
and then shared it all with us. Like if they don't, we walk in there, they've already made a bunch of decisions, and we're going to come in there and think that we're the ones making the decisions. And it's just not true, right? So all of our tools and resources are still not built for them, like, or for us. Like, they're not built for us to appreciate that they already like know what they want and have made some decisions and have done some alignment work, right? It moves our challenge to like coaching and consulting. All right, like how do you take that and then still understand like how to add value and expertise, and they're like, oh, that was a good idea, but here's where it's going to break. And so it's good that you guys aligned on that because we want to enable, we need you guys to be doing that, but that outcome is not actually what's needed for the project, and we're going to go this direction instead, right? So maybe it's about like everybody needs tools, I guess. Right? Like, what should we be doing? That's, and maybe not from a problem solving perspective, but like, what have maybe guardrails or things that you've kind of created within an AI architecture that you've used to get help from AI with this specifically? Like, so much of it boils down to like transcript processing, I think, but like,
Yeah,
what
because
kind
there's
of,
so much there. Yeah, I mean
right?
the one of the table stakes, I guess, features that everyone likes to tout with AI note takers and transcriptions is like, oh, it'll automatically record and remember your, um, your takeaways, your action items. And it's like, yeah, that's great. It's, I've done a lot of work like tweaking and tuning that for myself, and it's still like, um, it's still like, okay, yeah, AI, when I get the list back, and I have I will say, a pretty sophisticated system for it, it's still a constant fight to tweak it to be tuned to the right level where it's like, yeah, I see why you include it as an action item. And I don't want my prompt instructions to grow to 200,000 words trying to teach you the difference between some of these things. So I'm just going to ignore that one. It's fine. But and it's great. It is nice to have that. What, the, uh, what no system like can do out of the box requires some customization or some custom transcript processing is like when there are a lot of other dimensions where of a call that are not useful to have as a call summary, right? Um, a summary is fine if you're like, I need to understand the narrative here, but like gripes, right? Like some sales note takers will help with pain points, like um, have your note taker listen for anything that you or the client describes as out of scope, right? And add that to a backlog. Or anything that they describe as problems or that involve other stakeholders, right? Like, oh, I have to hand it off to person who's never been on any calls, right? That doesn't belong in notes, right? Like that needs to be funneled from unstructured data into semi-structured data, saved somewhere in a future roadmap items. Um, that recognizing for your business like what those things look like. And in our business, it's going to be things like where data comes from, where is it stored, where does it go, how do we report on it, how do we analyze it. Reporting and analysis are two very different things. Who owns the data, and same thing for processes, like where do the processes run, who is involved from a person standpoint, a system standpoint, agent standpoint. We can go down the list, but like your business has a 80-20 problem space of like the things your customers need that they're trying to solve, the things that they act on. So like, don't let those go into call notes that nobody listens for. Deconstruct those, get them into normalized properties in your CRM or your project system, or semi-structured properties. Like you don't a markdown list or HTML list in a HubSpot record that's just like, here's everything that the client has said is out of scope or is a future problem or involves some aspect that is not a person, a team, a system that isn't part of this project, and just have AI every time it hears it, process that, read the existing property, and revise it, right? So like if it's new data, add it. If it's clarification of data that's already on there, update the item in the list. And then you just have a punch list of like, hey, we're coming to the end of this phase. Here's 12 things that we've talked about. And, looking at this list, there's 3 of them here that seem really relevant to like where we're at and some of the stuff that's come up over the last 3 weeks. Do you want to talk about, the ways that we might approach this? It takes a massive mental load off of the account manager to notice, keep track of those things, put them in their note-taking app or something. Like where do those things get stored? Most, in my experience, most service providers, agencies, account managers have no system or have a idiosyncratic system that each individual has developed versus, you know, an extract, semi-normalize. You don't need to overthink this, and then just store it automatically somewhere else, not in like, oh, I'll page through or I'll have AI analyze the last 50 transcripts or the notes from the last 50 transcripts, which may or may not have captured those things because they aren't relevant to the project, etc.
Right. And we didn't ask the questions
Right.
that we needed to ask. I think there's also, like, as we wrap up here, the opportunity that I'm trying to help everybody understand. If we all know that we have access to AI that can help us generate more context, but also consume and understand more context, more content. Like, are we asking on the calls, like, do you think this is valuable? Right. And speaking with the HubSpot product manager yesterday, like reporting in general, like if we all can understand that sentiment analysis, right, has gotten significantly better because we can understand sentiment of transcripts and the words used, like because AI can understand it and there's no chance for us, right? We should also be like agree that instead of like thumbs up and thumbs down or NPS scores or all the different ways where we try to, because the system has always told us it had to be done this way, let's try to like give them prescribed options to tell us, like to try and understand the value being provided. Like it doesn't tell the story anymore because I can't tell you why, or I'm not like, if you're going to give me a thumbs up, like don't then don't like give me this wide open box. Like, what did you
Right.
mean by that? Right. It's like, I did this for myself yesterday because I've got to get out of the habit of just building, building, building. Right. Am I taking a moment to say, yes, I've realized the value of this thing that I just did? And I added it to my space. And this is where AI can help you do things the way they've always been done, much easier than thinking about things differently. Because the first response was like, "Oh yeah, I can add it right next to the first thing you need to get done, like the action item list, right? Like what's next?" That's well, did we end the call with any takeaways? Like, oh man, must not have been a good call. Like, what are the next action items? Did we end with next steps? Like, I'm like, nope, I want a separate place where I could just see accomplishments and then click a button that says value realized, on the way, or not yet. And like, are we giving people a moment to say, this is how I feel about the current situation? Or are we keying in on when they say things like, oh my God, that was so easy,
Right.
right? Like, what we're trying to help you do is to take that moment and either get them to tell you more about why that is, or later on in the transcript, when we were starting to process, you have tools ready to leverage that statement and say, hey, remember what that part when you said this was so easy? Well, you're like, it made sense, or we anticipated you were going to do that. But when you show this to your CTO, this is how you get them to say that, right? And it's not going to be 10 slides or the same screen or the same number of clicks, the same anything. We can process this now in a way that's like, all right, for the CTO, this is how they get to that point of this is so easy. This is what they want to see. And a lot of this, and where I got to yesterday, is like CFOs looking for nice, neat dashboards about AI ROI. Can't have it. Can't have it anymore. Like, doesn't exist. If you try, you're going to fail. There's no context.
Yeah.
That you cannot get the context you need about how great your people are feeling and the fun everybody's having and the impact that's having on culture by looking at number of tickets resolved or speed of ticket resolution or any of the other ways that we're used to defining value, because that's real. People adopt the system, the product, the service, the experience once they realize your value.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole hour conversation on its own. Like, we are way too early in the trajectory of these tools to understand where the right places to look, even to understand what to potentially uncover the indirect value that is achieved. Like, sure, you can see how many tokens, what the token cost of software development is, and how much each of your developers are using. Um, but everywhere else, like the what to actually measure is totally different, is
Yep.
unknown still at this point. But the yeah the just briefly, like as you described there, like the we talk about how yes, an engagement, a company will be at some point in this value path. The individual stakeholders, though, we shouldn't just assume are all at that same point, right? The sales leader that you talked about joining that call um, sounds like maybe came into the value creator stage separately from the rest of the organization on that call yesterday, right? And so, like the tooling to capture um, as early as possible in the relationship, and then surface and continue to work toward that vision and value. And it's what every service company claims to do, but they usually do like only in the first meeting that happens after, the contract signing, where they say, we are here to achieve X. And then from there on, they work a like low level project plan that very quickly becomes decoupled from the goal. But you as the service provider account manager, as the company, understanding what each stakeholder's vision and value is, they are trying to accomplish not an easier to use contact record or deal record. They're trying to accomplish, and also not the platitude of like, well, we're all just here to increase revenue. It's like, yeah, okay, sure, right. But you have a specific objective.
Yeah.
Keeping that in mind, the future that they are trying to reach, so that, your transcript processing tooling, your notes, your intuition as the account manager can touch on, probe, listen for, and continuously revise that understanding of the vision and value and how you're achieving it, right? So that you can say on those calls when you get thrown a curveball a couple of hours before, like, um, here's what we've been talking about. We got your this far in the engagement. I mean, and we got your updated request of it. Like, here's the thing. Here's how we think it fits into what we're trying to accomplish, what we've been talking about, and here's the revised plan, right? Rather than just treating it reactively, incorporating it into what you were doing, right? A lot of people,
Yeah.
new account managers especially, are like, whew, we checked that box, and so that stakeholder is happy now, right? Not like, oh, this impacts the other things that we are doing too.
Yep. Yeah. So hopefully this was helpful, folks. Next week we'll dig into the advocate stage, which again, easier than ever if you've done all this work up front. Not going to be about, all right, when's the right time to ask them for a testimonial and how do we do that easily? Going to be a different stage once again. But until next time, thanks so much, Mr. Oakes. We'll see everybody next week.
Thank you. Bye bye.